Salve discipuli, hello sixth grade, and welcome to our next Latin lesson. Today we are going to be learning some vocabulary for members of our family, and this is going to be very useful for our project we will be having this week, a little mini project where you will be creating a family tree using our new Latin words. I will also post a separate video kind of walking you through my expectations for the project and some just kind of going over everything. So that'll be posted as well. So take a look at that. And then let's jump into our vocabulary for today. So, family vocabulary, starting off, I did want to give you a little quick note. In Latin, we have something called grammatical gender, and this is something that English does not do, but that quite a few other languages actually do. Spanish does this, French, German, Italian, lots of languages do this. English just doesn't, so this is something as English speakers we have to kind of learn and change the way we think about things. So nouns in Latin have grammatical gender. And starting at this point, we will be learning the grammatical gender of nouns because this becomes very important once we start learning adjectives, which we'll be learning soon. Adjectives have to match their nouns that they're describing with the grammatical gender. So this becomes really, really important, and it's kind of a piece of grammar that you guys get to learn starting now. So when you see a noun, when I give you a noun in Latin, I will also include a letter next to it that will tell you the noun's grammatical gender. So we have masculine. So masculine nouns will be labeled with an M. Feminine nouns will be labeled with an F. And then neuter nouns will be labeled with an N. Now, something to keep in mind is that masculine doesn't always mean boy, feminine doesn't always mean girl. And neuter is just, it's where we get the word neutral from. So it just means it's neither masculine nor feminine. It's this third extra option that we have for grammatical gender. When you're referring to words for people, like all the words we're going to be learning today, masculine will match up with the male people and feminine will match up with female people. That's pretty standard. But just keep in mind that all nouns in Latin have grammatical gender, even objects and things. So when we're talking about, let's say, our word for table in Latin, the word is going to be a feminine word. It doesn't mean that tables are girls. So just keep that in mind. For today, though, since they are going to be people words, since it's members of our family, the masculine and the feminine will match up to what gender the people are. So that should be pretty easy to start us off. So let's jump into it so we're not taking too long in this video because there's quite a few members of our family we're going to learn today. So we're starting off with kind of the core immediate members of the family, and we have mater. Mater. And remember, I do want you to practice repeating these words after me so you can get used to saying them out loud. And mater, as we can see, is a feminine word. This is our Latin word for mother. Pater. Pater. This word is a masculine word, hence the M. And this is our word for father. Filius. Filius. This is another masculine word. This is our word for son. Filia. Filia. This is a feminine word. It looks quite a bit like filius for son, but it has a different ending and it's feminine. So any guesses what this means? Yes, indeed. This is our word for daughter. Soror. Soror. This is another feminine word. This is our word for sister. Frater. Frater. This is a masculine word, opposite of soror. It is our word for brother. Avus. Avus. This This is a masculine word. This is going to be our word for grandfather. Awia. Awia. This again looks very similar to awus. It just has a slightly different ending and it is feminine. So this is going to be our word for grandmother. And then we have pro-awus. Pro-awus, masculine. We see awus in there, and then we have this pro in front of it. Pro in Latin is going to mean sort of before. So before grandfather, we have our great-grandfather. So pro-awus means great-grandfather. And following the same pattern, we have pro-awia. Pro-awia, feminine, and it is great-grandmother. Great-grandmother. All right, so that kind of covers more immediate family members. Now, obviously, everybody's family is going to be different, right? Some people might have more siblings than others. Some people might have step family, right? A stepfather, stepmother, or step siblings, things like that. So every family is going to be a bit different. So we're going to learn a couple other words, and then we're going to learn some words for some extended family members. We're not going to learn every single possible word for family members because then you would have 100 words to learn, and that's a bit too much. But we'll just do a few more for the sake of our family trees that you guys are going to do this week. We have Wittricus. Wittricus. This is masculine. This is going to be our word for a stepfather. And at this point, I've also gotten rid of the pictures because we've gotten into the extended branches of the family. It's a bit too tricky to try and do pictures for those. Noerca. Noerca. This is feminine. This is our word for a stepmother. So I'll leave that up for a second. Amita. Amita. This is feminine. This is our word for a paternal aunt. And this is where Latin likes to get very specific about what side of the family your aunt and uncle is on. So a paternal aunt is an aunt on your father's side. So it's an aunt that you have that's related to your dad. Mater terra. Mater terra. And you should hopefully recognize the word mater in there that we saw for our word for mother. This is going to be our word for a maternal aunt. So this is an aunt on our mother's side, sorry. So maternal aunt is an aunt on our mother's side. So your mom's sister, okay? Patruus. Patruus. This is masculine, and this is our word for a paternal uncle. So an uncle, again, on your dad's side. So your dad's brother, maybe. And then avunculus. Avunculus, another masculine one. This is our maternal uncle. So this is the uncle on our mother's side. So your mom's brother. If your mom has a brother. All right, and now into cousins. And again, this is going to be a little bit complicated with the Latin. It likes to be very specific about things. So we have patruelis. Patruelis. And this is a word, this happens sometimes in Latin where a one word can be either masculine or feminine, and it will depend on the gender of the person. So in this case, this is a cousin that is the child of your father's brother. So if your dad has a brother and he has children, that cousin would be your patruelis. And if it was a boy, it would be masculine. If it was a girl, it's going to be feminine, but the word doesn't change in this case. So your dad's brother's child is your patruelis. All right, and then we have consobrinos and consobrina. And this is one where both of these mean the same thing, but they do have slightly different forms for the masculine, meaning the boy cousin, or the feminine, the girl cousin. So this cousin is the child of your mother's sister. So if your mom has a sister, and that aunt has a child, that would be your consobrinos or consobrina, depending on if it's a boy or a girl cousin. And then we have amitinos or amitina. And this is probably the most complicated one of all. This is a cousin who is either the child of your father's sister or your mother's brother. So if your dad has a sister and she has a child, that cousin is your amitinos or amitina. And if your mom has a brother and he has a child, then that cousin is the amitinos or amitina. And again, amitinos is if the cousin's a boy, amitina is if it's a girl. So I know with the cousins and the aunts and uncles, it gets a little bit confusing. So just take it kind of slow. I'll talk more in the video about the family tree project, about how you can include them if you want, or you don't have to. So that is all of our vocabulary for today. Please make sure you take these notes down so that you have them to use when you are creating your family tree. Other than that, take a look at the video for the family tree project, and that's what you're going to be doing for your assignment for this week. So best of luck, and walete discipuli.